I've had this Miata for 2 years now, and I realized when planning this video that my main goal with it has been achieved. I set out with the intention of answering if drifting is something for me, and the short answer is yes, but I think I need to give a short backstory on why I took this route and why I'm making this video, if I'm to be clear with what's been going on lately. I don't want to bore you with this story, so I'll try to keep it short. Like so many others I know and don't know, my passion for cars really started already as a kid. I remember being 6 years old and playing Need for Speed Underground 2 on my big brother's GameCube, and I saw this Mazda, and it's been my dream car ever since. But it wasn't the MX-5 Miata I saw, it was the RX-7. You know, this thing. Fast forward 14 years and half life story, I bought my dream car in a part of my life where it just shouldn't have been possible. But that's a completely different story. So why try drifting a Miata? Well, the first reason is actually that the Miata is a bucket list thing for me to own, so it feels kind of good to just check that as well. But then, going more into the depth, I believe that the Miata, well, it's a common car for many people to start drifting with, at least just skidding, which is actually what I did for the first year as well. But I believe that being able to control a Miata would give you a lot more experience than starting with something that's easier to say. You really need to work the car to get it to where you want. It doesn't do anything for you, you have to drive it. But of course, the first drifting experience for me was not in the Miata or even in a real life car. I've spent a lot of hours in simulator trying to learn to develop my skill, and actually I felt that I was getting the hang of it. So drifting seemed kind of fun. That's one part of why drifting. The other part is actually my background within motorsports. During my university studies, I was involved in Chalmers Formula Student, which meant we designed, built and raced our own Formula style race car. And I really got hooked on the part where it came to racing it. Being in the pits, along with other team members, and seeing other teams and being on track and seeing all this really was an amazing experience when you've had the interest in motorsports. So combining all these factors, when I got the chance to store an extra car, meaning getting the Miata, I just did actually. At the time I was already sharing this garage with Rickard and also Morten Stongberg, who's been drifting for a long time. So it felt like just the time to get into it and actually try it. I mean, as you say, all the stars were aligned. Anyway, that's the backstory. Now let's keep on going. I've already announced it, that the Miata is gonna get more power for next year. And as it turns out, it's closer than you think. Let's have a look. While there are a lot of parts and boxes here, the main news is the engine itself.
This is the same engine that I've been running with boost and ethanol for 2025, but it's been fully rebuilt with forged internals and is ready for a new turbo setup during 2026.
So let's get changed and have a closer look at this beauty.
I wanted to start off by cleaning my workspace and getting it up to my standards. This not only meant organizing all of the new and old parts laying around, but actually lifting the hardtop onto the car again, as it was in the way. For this, I got some help from my uncle who wanted to visit this day, and it couldn't have been timed better to get a pair of extra hands. He also stayed for getting the engine up on the engine stand, as you'll see.
Tack för hjälpen. Ja. Och så går det så här. Ja. Någon gänga du vet som har snubblade bara. Ja, jag blir tusen. Det tog ju mig liksom en kväll att preppa allting med stilen för att göra det. På den nivån. Ja, det är ja, jag sitter där med hela... Ja, man ser att... Jag tänkte på att det var en 740 där. Det var ganska coolt. Det var ju riktigt nöjt. Ja. Och jag menar, det är ju ändå... Det är ju en anläggning. Det är ju så att man får göra lite coola grejer. Ja. Typ. Ja, en njutning. Man får lite casual så. Ja. Super.
Du får säga att de har
böjt blocket.
Ja, de har böjt.
Det är så. Jag behöver inte vara som det. Som hittat. Alright, so with the roof on the car and my place being cleaned and the engine up on the stand, I actually have to call it the day, but we'll continue here shortly. Back in the garage, Thursday the 18th of December, and I'm eager to get going with mounting all the accessories to the engine. But if you don't know me, I'm a guy who likes to plan everything out, so I actually have one thing on my list that's more urgent, and that's to replace a bent A-arm on my suspension, because I want that to be fixed before everything else goes on. So I'm gonna do that before I start with the engine. We'll see what we're able to do today. But I'm actually gonna throw in a montage that I realized I have filmed for from when we were up at Auto-Gruppen to disassemble the engine and go over everything and what's needed for machining and all that. So I'm gonna throw that in first, and then we'll continue here.
Det är gött, han lyfter ur den lådan själv. Jag sa det kan du inte göra med en 4.
Nej, det kan jag säga. Den dagen du gör det med en 4,
Då har jag ryggproblem igen.
igen.
Vad inte?
3 så är det vanlig.
Så.
Jag har ett system om man inte är en sortimentlåda.
Ja.
Ja,
det ser ju B ut på film.
Vet du vad vi gör då?
Jag har nya riggarna.
Ja,
Då blir de här mina reservklipp.
Sexivent eller att inte.
Ja, jag tänkte här. Jag är lite sådär hur jag är noga med att ha tillbaka här sen så fort jag tar bort den här. Där ser vi där. Bra.
Någonting för din vanliga skull också.
Så roligt ska vi definitivt inte ha. Det var helvete vad han satt. Limmad till livet han. Men det är inte ett problem, det är alltså... Nej. Det lilla där.
Ja.
Men nu får vi göra vidare.
Men kan det vara så att mitt lyftartick kan ha med det att göra?
Ja, alltså det har ju med det att göra på grund av att oljan inte kommer upp. Det där ticket kommer och sen tystnar ju det när oljan kommer upp.
Lite.
Ja, någon form av... Så att de är... Du håller... Anger wall. Det är nästan...
Argvägg.
Ja. Nej.
Så är det väl toppen som har gjort allt läckage då.
Vi ska mäta den nu.
Mm.
Bra jobbat.
Det är 4 som hade lågt.
Så. Barnslig jävla påpeka.
Alright, so the trip to Auto-Gruppen that I just showed you was when we disassembled the engine, and since then it's been off to machining and it's also been rebuilt. The machining process I don't have any footage of, and unfortunately I wasn't able to join the entire rebuilding process, only parts of it. So I'll see if I'll throw a couple of clips of that as well, maybe not. So I've already prepared this spent A-arm by removing my polyurethane bushings. I was planning on reusing them. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's kind of off here. This one has taken a hit from the inside of the rim when I stupidly enough did not have steering locks, so it slammed into the A-arm. I need to get that fixed as well, but first things first is to replace the broken one or the bent one with a fresh one. So I've actually bought a new OEM A-arm. I am running the Destroyer or Die lower control arms and the knuckles. However, I decided to stick with the OEM ones for now because money is a thing and I'm investing a lot in the engine as it is. But one thing that's gonna feel a bit weird is that I'm gonna remove the new bushings from these ones to mount some polyurethane ones. But I guess that's drifting. I'm over at the dirty bench, as I like to call it, and I managed to get the bushings out of the A-arm. However, if you're noticing, we don't have a hydraulic press, so I'll let you have a guess if I left the shop and borrowed a friend of mine's who actually has one, I've borrowed it before, or if I did it the dirty way. But I want to show you something on this arm. So here's the old one and the new one next to each other, and I've got the bushings out, and also I got an arm that had a mounting bracket for, I think it's the ABS lines, if you have those. So I grounded that off because I don't need it and it would interfere with my anti-roll bar in the front. But one of the most important parts, or one of the most interesting parts that I noticed was the new arm actually has more reinforcements on the underside if I compare the two. So I don't know, that's a good thing I guess. But
what's even easier to see now that I don't think I could have shown you before is if you look at from the top of the arms, you can clearly see how bent the old one is. So another thing you might ask is, well, why don't you just try to realign the old one and get it to run? I mean, yes, I thought of that. I had a look at it. I was thinking maybe I should do it to save myself the hassle of changing it. But then once I actually got the arm off, I mean, first of all, you can see that it's seen better days. But the most important part is that the joint actually, the joint bush or the joint boot has broken, and the joint is actually not feeling too happy. So that was like an indication that okay, just get a new one. But another problem with me running the OEM arms, or well, not OEM arms, but standard arms, is that with my wheel fitment, it actually hits here, it rubs here. So this is the issue why the one's actually bent, the old one actually bent. So I'm gonna try to do the same sort of operation here to have just a little bit of clearance, and then I'll look into adding actual bump stops as well further down the line. But yeah, this is the next step, and then bushings in and then back on the car. I did inspect the bolt and it looks fine, so I decided not to change it. Hopefully it will hold up well. I don't have any reason to believe it won't. One more thing I did, I grinded it down as I said, and to allow the wheel to clear as much as possible. Then I'll figure out the bump stops down the road. But I also sprayed it over with some touch-up paint before I pressed the bushings in. So yeah, don't want to be having it rusting again like the old ones. Fits way better than the old one. Since the old one was bent inwards, I had to like really pry it out, and it didn't want to come out easily at all. So yeah, definitely a good thing that I changed this one.
So the next step would actually be to mount the exhaust manifold and the turbo, but since we're going to be doing a new setup, the custom exhaust manifold that's to be manufactured doesn't exist yet. So I can't really mount it, and the same goes for the fuel rail. I'm going to be changing my injector size, so I don't have the new injectors yet. So this is basically what we can do at this moment, and the next step is basically to get it up in the hoisty and then throw it in the car. New day in the garage, I'm back. It's gonna be the last steps I do before Christmas. And I did forget to mount the NOx sensor, and we also need the engine mounts, of course. But the engine is pretty much ready to go into the car. So that's the goal for today, have that, and then maybe some other small touches, as you can see here. Of course, the flywheel and clutch is gonna go on the engine as well. But yeah, let's get into it. So interestingly enough, this is an aftermarket NOx sensor, but there actually is a provision on the Miata engine to run one. However, if you have the older models, you have the big OEM oil pressure sensor here. So I have to plug that line because I'm not really utilizing the OEM one, since we have an aftermarket one on the sandwich onto the filter relocation kit and also to the oil cooler. So I don't need it. I do have a gauge for all the pressures if I want to, and yeah, it just felt like it's more important to have a NOx sensor than to have two oil pressure sensors, in my opinion. These are also freshly painted, along with a lot of other stuff in the engine bay for now. So just giving it a little bit of a refresh while I'm at it. I kind of like to care to have a nice looking engine bay when it's this much going on. Let's see if we can find the nuts, and I also have engine riser plates lying around somewhere. Let's have a look. Here we go, motorfästen, that's engine mounts. Here we go. Big box of destroyed eye stuff. Alright, so this one should be here. Yep. Now I remember one of these needs to be off to get it into the subframe, because one of the holes is slotted and one is just as it is. So I'm just gonna thread them up here, and then we'll take it from there. And one thing I'm going to do before I forget about it is to temporarily put something here to cover the injectors. Alright, so I've gone ahead and pressed in a new pilot bearing on the flywheel. They have actually balanced the flywheel together with the crank, and I'm guessing that this is the mark because it co-aligns with the slot here on the crank. So that's what we're gonna go with.
And the next step is to mount the flywheel. So this is me from the future, and as you see in the videos, I forgot to mount this plate for the gearbox, for the flywheel. I've applied some thread locker to the bolts because I'm gonna be running a bit more than OEM power, so I don't wanna risk it. Alright, so let's find a way to hold the flywheel back once we torque it in a good pattern.
Sponsoring with real tools.
Exakt. Vad ska vi ha då?
Vi ska ha den här Hikoki.
Hikoki. Gearbox side.
Jag ska när man har på sig handskar och så använder man inte den handen man har handskar på. Det är så jävla typiskt.
Japp.
Du hittar ingen mindre motor eller?
Det finns inte så mycket mer, det är det som är roligt.
Jag hade kunnat stå och hålla den.
Om den är ställd på 25, vilket det ska vara.
Jo, det klickade på.
Ja, exakt.
Det är lite så exklusivt klick.
Ja, exakt. Den känns jävla god alltså. Mogen typ.
Ja, det låter som knack bara.
Jag är rädd att den är för
Bilar? Ja. Sätter det mot fel håll. Fränghjulet. Svänghjulet ska han ha.
Blandar upp svänghjul och svängdämpare.
Ja. De ser lika stora.
Vad sa du?
Det är lite läskigt.
Varför? Varför du tycker det är läskigt?
Nej, ser det inte ut.
Det är lite sketchy att ligga under medan man sänker ner faktiskt.
Ja. Nu kliar du.
Det är med.
Ja.
Nu är det på din sida. Så den här är just nu lös.
Motorfästet.
Ja, för att på den här sidan är det inte en skåla.
Mm. Den ska typ 2 centimeter längre in. Där.
Det här är typ ett stort steg.
Jäkla lätt där.
Ja.
Sådana här grejer ändå.
Och det är helt sjukt alltså bara vad man har lärt sig och vad blir van vid det. Typ. Alltså, ja, lyfta motorn, det är inga konstigheter. Typ.
Ja, alltså det är så här, tekniskt sett hade man kunnat göra det här utomhus på uppfarten.
Ja,
Men
det är lite jobbigare.
ja, det är
Och särskilt när det är så kallt som det är nu. Men...
Ja. Fästet i handen.
Fan vad motorn är sned då.
Det är sned.
Ja,
Vilket håll?
den är för hög här.
Står vattenpass på motorn.
Ja.
snickarbild.
Men det var att jag har riser plates.
Ja. Japanese car problem, you always have those as rice plates.
So the engine is in the car again. Big shout out to Leo for coming out when I gave him a call, helping me with the flywheel and clutch there, but also for staying when the engine went in. I'm gonna wrap this video up there. There's a lot of more stuff to be done. The rest of the drivetrain has to go in the car. There's gonna be some updates on the chassis all around and the rear suspension and so on. You'll see. I think I'm gonna make YouTube videos about this as well, but I wanted to try this concept out because this feels like a big stepping stone or big milestone for me to have my own first built engine, and making all of this, the process around it, to actually document it. But I don't know, we'll see what happens with the video. I'm not too sure how it's gonna go, if it's just for fun, just for me to be able to share it with my family and friends, or if anyone else is actually gonna be interested. We'll see, but anyway, if you stayed this far, thank you for watching, and I don't know, if you wanna subscribe, that'd be fun. I think I'm gonna try to upload some more videos on the rest of the build process, and then perhaps even when driving it in the spring and summertime. Who knows? We'll see. But thank you for watching again, and have a great day.